Welcome to That Be Mindset, episode 130. Today's episode is called The Illustrator. So today I'm joined by Davey Villalobos. Davey is the illustrator to my podcast. Every week when you see a podcast episode on my Instagram or my social outlets or even on the podcast episode itself, Davey is the guy who's putting in the hard work into drawing these images. So I just wanted to talk to Davey today and to share some insights into his work, how he got interested in illustration, how he's pursuing that today, how he's making that work for himself. Just in a chat as well around art. How do we put art into work? How does he think about art? Uh, David's a big part of this, to be honest. Uh, a large part of my intention here is to create a space for artists, for people to be encouraged to pursue the arts. If it's a passion of theirs, I think you do a disservice to the world when you're not pursuing the artistic passion within. So Davey brings a lot of that to life, so it makes it much more than just a podcast and writing. Davey brings that to life, so I said I wanted to chat with him today, share some insights into his world. He's a very normal, grounded guy with a very passionate interest in art, and it's curious to see how he thinks about it and how he comes up with the images each week as well. I'm always fascinated by that. So I know you'll enjoy today's episode. Thanks again for listening, and I will speak to you on the next episode. Thanks for joining us today, Davey.
Thank you, sir.
So my first question is, who are you and what are you doing in the world today?
I knew that. I knew that was going to be a first question for some reason. I'm Davey Villalobos, and I illustrate all sorts of styles of books. And obviously, I've done your book. I can see some pictures in the background.
Yeah.
Very, very familiar. I keep telling you should get them bigger. They look cool. And yeah, it's what I do at night. Mostly during the day, I'm a baker, for a big corporation. I won't mention, give them free advertising, but when I'm not baking at night, I'm drawing. I mean, when I'm baking during the morning, I'm drawing at night, and that's what I like to do. Now I
I
get
like
paid
your.
for it.
What's that?
Now I get paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Actually, when did the illustrations? When did that start for you? Was it when you were like a young boy you started drawing? Like when did this
oh,
interest
since
in
I
that?
was, you know what? Since I was a kid, I've been drawing since I was a little boy. I mean, since I can hold a crayon is what I say, and it's true. I used to draw on the walls in my house as a child, like 5 years old, 4 years old. Got in a lot of trouble for that, but it's just something that I think it runs in our family. My grandmother, my dad, pretty much almost everybody in this house can illustrate and draw. So I think it's just in us, and it's just I've always been drawing. I just sit outside, relax, and drawing and coloring or whatever it is, and you know whatever comes to mind, whatever feel like it. You
What
know,
draws you to illustrations in particular? That genre of drawing.
comic books
Oh,
actually.
okay.
So I mean, grew up with comic books a lot, and I mean, you can't see it, but I'm wearing a Joker T-shirt. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always wearing something superhero related, and it's just something that fascinates me. Art. It's just you're drawn to it.
Mm-hmm.
Reading books, growing up, Dr. Seuss, Batman, cartoons. You know, and it's just one of those things. It's just like doing it, and so you want to mimic it, or not mimic it, but I guess do it again. Like I want to do it my own way.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like to draw. It's like you see something, you want to draw it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, have you ever done any like formal lessons, or did you learn from grandparents and parents? Like, how did you actually go about learning your craft?
Um, no, it's just you see it and you want to draw it. You know, I mean, you see like a flower, and you're like, oh, I want to see if I can draw the flower. I mean, I went to college for a while, and I took like commercial illustration, advertising, but I got really bored.
What was
You know.
boring about it? What was the?
Oh, you know what? I I don't want to bash art teachers, but
Hmm.
a lot of them will tell you they try to impose like, well, at least in my experience, try to impose like their style upon you
Hmm.
of what you can and cannot do, and I don't think there should be any limits of what you can and cannot do as far as art's concerned. It's like they say, what's it's objective,
Hmm.
and it was just one of those things that I didn't agree with a lot of the mindset, so to speak, to use one of your terms. It's just the way it just draw it this way. It's like no, you can do it. I think you can do it any which way you want. Doesn't mean you're going to get the job. It just means you shouldn't have to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like limits. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, I
So
get you. Yeah, especially in art.
yeah, especially in art, I think. I mean, sure, there's stuff out there that's kind of stupid, but I mean,
Mm.
that's not for me to decide. Like, I remember that old sculpture of Piss Christ where someone put a crucifix in the jar of pee. I mean, some people call that art, and some people, I don't know. I don't know what that is, but I'm just saying it's just like you said, subjective. So it's one of those. Sorry, there's a cat running by. Um,
When
yeah,
did
that's it.
do you remember when you started to realize you were good at drawing?
Um, I don't know if I realize I'm good at it. I just do it. I mean, if
Mm.
someone likes it, then I guess that's good. But I'm okay. And I always say my little brother, he's really good. I mean, he's a really talented artist. I mean, he's done like we had a cafe many years ago, and he painted on the walls like replicas of the Mona Lisa, and it was literally ideal. I mean, exact. So I mean, he could capture stuff like that. Me, I just draw like what I call doodles and comic book cartoons, which is what I like anyway.
Mm.
Um, but I'm faster than he is, so that's a difference.
Okay.
And it's just like you see it, you draw it, you do it. You know,
And how do you? So you mentioned there about mimicking. How do you find the balance there between mimicking something that you see and doing it in your own way?
like not plagiarizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, a lot of it is. I want to say it is plagiarized. Like when I'm drawing comic book stuff when I was a kid or younger. I mean, even recently with my kid, if you saw my Instagram, I'm always drawing stuff like the Joker for fun.
Mm.
Is that there's certain artists that influence you. You like their style, and you want to try to, I want to draw that. I want to see how he does it, and you start doing it, but then it becomes your own. Is how I come. It's just and after a while, you just have your own style, and you kind of adapt. You
Yes.
know.
Is there an element of you're doing it for so long that it starts to evolve anyway, your own style?
Yeah, it does. It does with each book. It's different. Um, with each image, especially now. Like I started with your stuff. I started doing coloring with computer,
Mm.
which I've never done before. So a lot of it, when you see certain gradients in the background, whatever, it's just done with computer graphics, which is something I've never done before, but I wanted to toy with, and trial and error. And then after a while, your style changes a little bit, and it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I mean, you haven't seen the stuff that doesn't work, because it looks weird, but it's just a way of adapting, I guess, and becomes your style. It's always evolving.
And then you do children's books, but you also have done my book. Like, how do you decide what projects to take on?
Um, got to be interested because there was another project I turned down because I wasn't interested. It didn't like I guess speak to you, so to
Mm.
speak. And when I started with the unicorn books, it just so happens that I mean, it came into my lap by chance because Lisa with Unicorn Jazz and all that. There's a plug for her,
Mm.
and I guess she taught me. I mean, she didn't taught me. She led me to you, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And when I got your book, I read it, and I was like, well, how the hell am I going to draw this? Because this is not, happy-go-lucky
Yeah.
animals dancing. But at the same time, that's why you do it because you're like, well, let me find something, and you got to challenge yourself, and you know that was like a big thing. And then now we're doing this podcast. We've been doing the episodes, and so each episode is a different challenge.
Mm.
And if you don't, personally, if you're not challenging yourself, doing something you like, then you're not going to get better at it, or you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes down to which one of the episodes you had with me, the Ikigai,
Yep.
and which I've heard previously. It's like doing something you like to do, but then why not make money off it too?
Yeah.
And then it's fun, and prostitution's illegal, so I mean, might as well draw, you know. So,
Yeah. Do another passion of yours.
well,
But
I don't
yeah.
know. Prostitution's not a passion.
Yeah.
It came out weird, you know.
But how do you actually, yeah, how do you think about money when it comes to your craft? Like, there's a few similarities between us, as in you work during the day at something else, and then you've got your art on the side. You're starting to earn money from it though. So how has that kind of evolved in your mind? How you think about your work and money relationship to it?
Well, you don't sell yourself short. You should take pride in what you're doing. If you know you're good at it, then you charge a fair rate. And you look up, I looked up the rates, what people charge. And right now, since I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm starting off, but since I'm still new at it, I mean, I've been but professionally for like maybe 2 years now, 2 3 years. Obviously rates are lower, but then you want to get to a point. I mean, you want to be like those big stars. I mean, who
Mm.
doesn't? You want to be, you really want to make money off it too, because they tell you you gotta, if you like what you do, money comes, and actually it does. And I don't really see it as far as the money's concerned, because hopefully it comes down the line. You make the big bucks, but since like I said, I'm drawing anyway. A lot of times, this is how I relax.
Yeah.
When I come home, it's like stress free, and if I can make money off of it, then that's cool because it's a given. So why not? It's fun,
Would
you
you
know.
find art and drawing therapeutic in any way? As in, like, you might be thinking about things and you express it through the art form then to get it out of your head.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic in the sense where it's just a good way to relax for
Mm.
me, and I mean, being a baker isn't like the most stressful job in the world, obviously. That's actually kind of fun, but you know, dealing with other things in life, problems such as what we all have, bills. Um, it's kind of like a release, so to speak. You just zoning out and just just do what you do. You let the paper talk and the pens talk, and it clears your mind. You don't
Mm.
very stressed. I've never been stressful when drawing. How can you be stressful when drawing? It's just, or illustrating is just. It's like when you read a good book,
Yeah.
or even any kind of book. I mean, even just it's a relaxing thing. You know how when you write, it just kind of gets it out. I mean, you frustrate if something's not coming out the way you want it to, but then you keep working at it. It's not a bad frustration. It's
Yeah.
more of a
Working through things more than
working
anything.
through exactly, and so that's therapy in itself because I mean, you know, you're not giving up,
Yeah.
and when you finish it and everything looks good and people like it, because I know you've probably done the same thing where you go to Amazon or something, you check a review and someone says, "Oh, that's really," and I think I read some of the reviews too, and you're like, "Huh, here I am thinking I didn't do very well, and someone liked it." So that's always a nice positive feedback, you know, and it's nice. It's ego, but whatever, you know,
Ah,
we all like it.
makes it worth it. But I suppose if you're not getting any feedback, sometimes you're like, "What am I doing it all for? Is it just for me?" Then it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine line, fine balance. I think with uh with the baking job, is there anything that gives you like in terms of maybe giving you structure or something that helps you with your art as well, having that
Um,
day job?
Not really. I mean, a lot of times when I'm working, I'm thinking about what I'm going to draw or how I'm going to handle the pay. I mean, because work is work. I've been a baker for a while now, so at least maybe 15 years, I think, 15, 16 years. And it's also a very relaxing job. You make donuts, you make bread, French bread, and all that. And there's a lot of creativity that goes into that too. Like I like to do something to keep challenging myself. The way you score bread to make it look like it has a leaf on it. You want to make it look the same every time. It's kind of you know it's a very relaxing job, and you may have dumb customers coming once in a while who are upset about a cake, but if that's the biggest problem they have that day, then obviously their life isn't too bad. So I mean, when you're dealing with bread, which is like in a sense, goes back, being bakers like an old tradition. It, it's something to be. I think it's something to be proud of, but it's also something that as you enjoy doing it, it helps you. Another way, maybe I'm zoning out a lot in everything I do, but it's not, you know, heart surgery where you got to
Mm.
concentrate. I mean, you when you start doing something, you're good at it. It becomes very second nature.
Second nature. Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of times when I'm literally at work and I'm making something, making baking, and I'm thinking, and this happens too when I'm riding my bike, also, which is another therapeutic thing. Is that, like, for example, just the other day I was out riding, or when I'm at work, I'm like, well, how am I going to tackle this episode? You know, and a lot of it, some of the things that you talk about, you kind of think, well, how am I going to make this entertaining? You
Mm.
know, or something, bring something new to it. And I mean, when I've drawn the kids' books, like I did that Sagar, the Ant book, and then when I did and you had her on your show,
Yep.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth rather.
Yeah, and the animals dancing and stuff like that. Those are kind of pretty simple, in a sense, where you know, it's a unicorn dancing. That's not hard to do. But then when you hear someone's story, you're thinking, how can I capture this? And so a lot of times I'll have, you know, I don't know if it's what you call subconscious, but you plant it in the back. If there's someone who's, I can't remember who said it, but um, like it's planted in the back of your mind, so you're constantly working on it
Yeah.
subconsciously.
Yeah.
And I'm out writing, I'm thinking, well, how comes Razor, what can I do? And all of a sudden it starts popping in ideas. Same thing when you're baking, it's like, oh, here's a good idea, you know. And so I'm always thinking about art in that sense, where what am I gonna do? How can I do something different? And just remember it when you get home at night. It's like see if it works.
Mm.
Yeah,
No, I get you. Yeah, it's like a background question mulling over in the back of your mind all the time,
yeah.
but not in a
Problem solving.
bad way either. Yeah,
Yeah,
and not in a very analytical way, in more of a curiosity way. And it's I don't know, things just stand like you're saying there. Things suddenly stand out for no reason. How do you actually approach when something does come to mind? Do you need to jot it down straight away, or remember it in some way, or do you just hope that you'll remember it
no,
later on that night?
I hope to remember it.
Mm.
I don't really jot it down because I don't, I used to keep like a little sketch pad with me or something like that. But um, once I think the idea sprouts in your head, it stays there.
Okay.
And it's good. I mean, it's usually a good idea. I remember one of your episodes, which I was really fascinated. The gentleman from UPS, the vice president.
Mm. Yeah. No, Massey.
Yeah, and like his story was cool, but when he went back in the story, he was talking about being at the barber shop and doing this as a kid. And then he's UPS. I'm thinking, well, you pick up on a few things, you know, and that's what you do when you know you're listening to an episode or when you're reading someone's book. You try to pick up on the little subtle, notes here and there, and then you want to kind of use that. You just want to phone it in, just like, oh, let me just draw a guy again, with a smile. You don't want, you want to bring something new. And so you kind of plant that seed in the back of your mind and it grows a little bit. And when you get home, well, when I get home, you're like, oh, here's the idea. Let's go with that, you know?
Mm. That's good. Actually reminds me with writing as well. Sometimes I kind of feel like I write articles during the week, and sometimes I feel like I'm talking about the same stuff over and over, and I get bored of it. I'm like, how can I do this in some other way without making it up either? I want it to be tied into like real practical lived experience.
Hmm.
So I try and think about my life from different perspectives, different angles, and I'll often do that through working through emotions that I might have suppressed for a long time that might give me an insight that I never had on something before. And oftentimes that'll be like something will come to mind from years ago that I never really had, that never really thought about it too much. That's kind of my process there, but it comes from that being bored of writing, of feeling like I'm writing the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah, you don't want that monotony. Um,
Oh,
so that's when it comes to me again, when you're challenging yourself to create something new. No matter how easy it comes to you, you still have to kind of challenge yourself, and then take it a step further. You don't want to, I don't want to draw the same thing over and over and over again. It's what's the point, you
yeah,
know? And not just going to do it for a paycheck. You want to do it because you like to do it. And that's how
yeah.
you got to approach it, I think, in anything too in life. But just personally, that's how I approach it. So
How do you approach the light and dark aspects to a story? Like that's one of the things I try and get across is to shine a light in the darkness, acknowledge the darkness, shine a light in it. How do you approach that as an illustrator, getting that message across?
well, I mean, I don't think you should shy away from it. You know, with other books I've done, well, I don't want to get into the specific details, but there's some stuff I think, or like, what, we can use yours for an example, because I know in the first couple chapters of your book, it was kind of dark. I mean,
Mm,
it starts off in a dark place, but you don't want to, I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with doom and gloom, especially when it comes to art. I think that might be even, for me, easier to do because it's dark, and I kind of enjoy that. I don't know, it sounds like a dark individual, but I'm just saying
Challenge.
it's, maybe because the music I hear with it, it helps. You draw on something horrific, you can put something on. And you're like, oh, there's a good idea. That's going to be ugly, but you want to show a balance. And like the first two chapters, it's kind of a cute image in a sense where it's a cartoon.
Hmm.
So overall, you're doing a cartoon, but there's a darkness to it, and you want to show like when you're in the hole looking up. I mean, it's the feeling I think is dark, and
Yeah.
it's like a loneliness, but at the same time, it's a friendly enough picture, so you don't want to put someone off.
Yeah.
Just yet. I mean, it's a tone. I mean, you kind of want to explicitly say something with the art about this is a direction that book is going in. And I don't know. That's what I was trying to get with like your stuff is. Um, I think as the book evolved, it got lighter. The illustrations get lighter, and I mean, there's still some. Um, I mean, obviously, which ones are dark, and when you're kind of confused about what's going on around you. But you have to show that if you can't, not everything's rainbows and puppies and shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's funny because I wrote that first chapter. That was the last chapter I wrote.
oh
And
really?
I ran through the process. I think I kind of lifted my spirits. Like I kind of felt lighter, and I wanted to do it justice to tell the real story. But it actually took me
Hmm.
to the end of the book to be able to get to a place in my mind and my body that could go back there then and actually write that in a way that I felt was honest and truthful. Because it was too
Oh,
much for me to start. It was too overwhelming, the whole thing.
oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I got a little confidence in it. You go like, screw it, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You
So
know?
I suppose I kind of said that this is a decent book. Like there's good lessons here. Now let's go
Yeah.
back to the start and let's do that justice now. So
Give you reason why there's lessons here. You
yeah,
know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I don't know. That's kind
yeah,
of cool. I
exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
you wrote
I
it
s
backwards almost. That's neat.
Yeah, because it was the toughest part, even on a body level, physiological level. That was the toughest part for me to even write because you're dealing with the emotions attached to those memories, and
Hmm.
you're reliving it in a way as well. That experience and get like shining a light on the darkness. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
But you got to revisit that sometimes to move forward and like, embrace it.
no,
You know?
definitely. I do feel like my philosophy is that you have to face these dark sides, these experiences,
Hmm.
to free yourself from them. Otherwise, they're always going to be in the shadow side of your life, controlling you, manipulating you in some way that you don't know they're manipulating you.
Yeah,
And
that monkey on the back.
yeah, elephant in the room. Yeah, all that. So yeah. Well, how would you describe your general process week to week? Because you're the illustrator for my podcast, you do the drawings. Um, is there a general process each week, like you mulling it over, and like, or is it a little bit different each week?
But the process is almost the same. It's kind of like as I said, it was at sometimes I'm at work and I'm thinking, well, obviously first I hear the episode and I see the titles, and if it's someone I don't know, like if it's you, it's kind of obviously for me it's easier because I kind of have a little handle on what you're going with and what you're talking about. But when it's a new guest, every time you listen to what they're saying and what they're talking about, and you want like again, I think I said you want something to click with it, and so the process is more just like I'll do background study. I look up their websites because at the end of the episode you're always talking about, where can you find them, and then and you're like, all right, so and so has this web page,
Yeah.
so you go kind of do further research and you get a better handle on who they are. So you kind of want to, I think like a week or two ago, the guy who's I can't remember his name, but he runs the marathons. Uh, he's been on your show before,
Oh,
and
Michael Hilton. Yeah, Michael Hilton.
yeah,
Yeah,
Michael Hilton.
yeah.
And so when I go check out, well, let me see his Instagram, and he's talking about, he's doing certain signs, like he was always doing some kind of a
Yeah, I like that.
that.
Yeah, I liked how you picked up on that. He has done that quite a bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so you kind of look for that. So it's research involved, but it's good research. I mean, if you're gonna do something, you got to research pretty much everything you do. And so that's one of the processes I have is I look up the individual and and I see what they have to bring. If there's something unique, maybe it wasn't covered in the show, because I mean, you're doing an episode real quick. It's hard to get someone
Yeah.
full someone fully understand them. So a lot of times you use that as a great base, or a lot of times it comes in the episode too. There's a lot of people who've come on, or something you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, I know what he's talking about. I've been there. I understand it. I know what to
Oh,
draw.
okay.
Yeah, and it's just the process, but research is involved, but it's not, you know. I'm doing a book right now with about ocean animals,
Hmm.
and and so obviously, you Google what's a sea turtle, and you just go image after image, and you just want to like, all right, let me try to bring my own take to it, and so I do a lot of research.
For that, for the animals you're drawing there, is it the storyline gives you an idea of the persona of the turtle and how it should look, and how do you approach that?
This book is more of a I don't want to say book of facts,
Oh,
but it's
okay,
more
yeah.
like a, I don't want to give too much away because I mean they're still not done with it, but it's just more like, you have the sea turtle or the octopus, and it gives you like a little lessons. Like it's a kid friendly book on lessons, and so you kind of want to bring what they're talking about to the table. Like the octopuses came out really cool because or octopi. So I'm pretty sure it's octopi. Anyway,
Mm, some strange
because
one.
you have some that camouflage, so you kind of want to put that in there. You kind of want to show what they're talking about. But with the other kids' books, the story dictates. It's pretty much like any other story, that you read, and you know, you want to find what they call the action moments, or the points that this would be a good image, to bring to the table. And I don't know. That's kind of how it works. You got to read it. And there's some things I've done where I'm like, this is not going to work, and you politely say, thank you, or I'm busy, and, or you talk to the. And this has happened just really once. The experience wasn't really good because there's a. I mean, I know some people write and some people draw, and it's different to kind of collaborate because you're bringing something that's in your head or in the author's head, and they have a different vision sometimes, you know. But you try to tell them visually this won't work, and it doesn't work. It's not a good, this is not the image you want. I mean, it doesn't work for the book. You
Mm,
want something that's going to pop. I mean, when you're looking at a kid's book, you want it to pop. Looking at well any book really, as far as visual is concerned, you want it to pop. You want to be like make it something different. You don't want to just draw the same boring thing, same boring. You know, I mean, look how many books are out there. So you try to stay away from that. You
yeah,
know,
something a bit different. Yeah.
yeah,
Why do you think it counts for that? Is that the author wanting to control everything, or like why?
yeah.
Yeah,
No, pretty much. I mean, some people are control freaks, and that's just how it is,
yeah.
and that can kind of poison. You know, find someone else who'll do it. I'm
Yeah,
okay with
there
that.
needs to be trust. The way I can approach it is that like I'd have confidence in my own skill set. From talking to somebody, I get a sense of where they're coming from, and I
Yeah,
trust their process. I don't need to know about how you go about drawing illustrations. I just need to know that you're looking at some of the similar things that I'm looking for. Like that's your story here. What's the thing we're trying to get across here? And
yeah.
then just trust that because
Oh yeah.
I don't think I had like I wouldn't have had illustrations in mind when I was drawing it because I didn't even think I was going to be that type of book to begin with. I only had like pictures of my own life in my own head
Hmm.
uh, when I was writing the book. So I didn't have any preconceived notions of what this should look like illustration wise, uh, which probably helped because I just let it go and let you do your thing. Then after that,
Well, that's what I found odd when you approached about it. Is I'm like, I was like, at first I was like, kind of weird book to be drawing illustrations for. I mean, it's not for kids, so to
mm,
speak. I mean, it's not like a horror book or pornography, but it's not like um, here you are in France eating a baguette and it's all nice and stuff like that. It's different, which is cool. Which is different is good. Different is always to me good and challenging. And
well, I guess I wanted to portray real life and kind of came back to I wanted to be a cartoonist when I was younger. And
hmm
I suppose it kind of came full circle because I'm using illustrations, with your illustrations, to portray real life in a world where social media is taken over and we're not seeing what real life is anymore. So, for the thing that I used to be ashamed about because I felt childish, it's actually shining a light on things we should be discussing as adults. So, I'm using that thing. That's why it gives a lot of meaning for me in doing that. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, the cool thing is that, like you were talking about trust, is that one of the things I really enjoy when I'm uh, working with you is that there's a lot of trust. It's kind of like you let me do my thing, without like no, make this different, make that different, you know.
And I
Uh,
look forward to actually seeing your drawings each week because I don't know what to expect. I don't know what they're going to be,
I
and
don't know
that's what
what
I
to
like.
expect.
If if they are the same every week, I kind of get bored of it after a while. But I just don't know what to expect with you. So I just give you some guidelines that I want to get some light and dark across in this stuff.
Yeah,
And other than that, I kind of let you do your own thing and stuff like that.
yeah, and that's fun. I mean, that's kind of like a dream. Is just like, you know what? Give me the words, give me the idea, and I'll run with it. And hopefully, when you have a good collaboration, it works.
Yeah,
If not, we would have known by now. I'm like, nah, man, I'm not drawing your shit. I don't get it, you know. But
I suppose it goes.
fortunately, you
I
know,
suppose we're kind of on a similar wavelength when it comes to control. Like I believe that the artistic process, the creative process, there shouldn't be rules and stuff. You do get
yeah,
better. There is discipline. There's elements of that to it, but ultimately it's about expressing something in your own way. So I I want that. That's why I do my podcast. That's why I write. So anybody I work with should have the same, be on the same wavelength as well.
hmm you can say mindset.
Or mindset. Yeah, I wasn't even gonna say that. Yeah, just
I know you hesitated, but I can tell you wanted to say mindset, but I know like, oh, it's the happy mindset, you know.
yeah.
But
No, the
no, no, and
mindset's all
that's part of the fun of it, you know. I mean, you always want to collaborate with someone who's like trust you. I know there are
yeah.
some, you know, I do work like with unicorn books. It's like we got four of them now, so there's always a back and forth. You know, like the author will be like, she'll like, well, I want to see this instead. And I'm like, all right, that makes more sense. You know, because you are bringing their vision to life. You
Yeah.
know, you don't want to be a complete dick and be like, no, 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 it's my way. You
Yeah.
know, it's, I mean, what's the whole point? I mean, there's no point of that. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's respect and stuff. I did like the drawings there in the back of the wall. Or I
yeah,
started putting up some of the podcast episodes. The one thing that I have in my mind is that when new episodes come out, I'm always like, oh, I should have waited and gotten that episode because the one you did recently there with the illustration one, I really liked
oh
that
yeah,
one. Whereas I really, for some reason, I like the picture itself. You can see it's in the process of actually creating the character. Like even those drawing lines and stuff. I like looking at something that's raw like that. Um,
that was I was going for that. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. And then the color of your hand then was like the contrast, and it was like light and day, night and day. It was I really like that now.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, I mean, because you know, I was like,
yeah, because your hand,
I
yeah,
gotta put the tattoos in there,
yeah,
but I wanted to look. And the crazy thing is, you know, as you know, my computer crashed that week, and so I do a lot of editing in Photoshop, which is, you know, fun. It's a fun app, or it's a fun what do you call it, program,
yeah,
and you can do so much with it. I'm still learning every time I do something. Like, oh shit, I didn't know I could do that.
mm.
You know, and I'll Google something because I didn't take classes for it. I just self taught with Photoshop, and so I'm constantly trying to learn with it. And
How did you approach that? Is it like small little things each time that you're learning in Photoshop? Because it
yeah,
is a
I'm
big
just
package. There's a lot of stuff in it.
there's so much stuff I still don't know how to use,
Mm.
but I mean, I've been using it for like I don't know how many years now, maybe almost 20 years. So I've evolved with the Photoshop, but you know, it can be daunting in a sense or intimidating. But once you get a handle on certain key points, it becomes fun. You know, because we're always trying to I don't know always trying to like I said push yourself and with the cool thing with your stuff lately is that I've been trying to add colors, digital coloring on some things. You know, it works. Like when I draw the faces, I like to use colored pencils, and I'll do different shades, color pencils to just get whatever the tone. But then I like doing the backgrounds sometimes, or grass or something like that with the gradient because it gives a nice look on something. Sometimes it doesn't work, and go back to the drawing board, so to speak.
Mm. Yeah, literally.
But yeah, I didn't want to say that, but whatever. Uh, but other times it comes out really good, and then you learn as you're doing it. Like when you say you use something, you paint something in the background, and it splashes all over to the whole image, and you find, well, where did it leak, so to speak, and so you got to connect the dots, and you got to block it off. And this is like, you know, a lot of Photoshop talk, but then you go back and you do it again. You're like, all right, only the sky got blue, perfect, not the face because there was like a little gap. So
Mm.
you go in and you learn how to do things after a while. Now I get faster at it where I know what to look for, and when I'm drawing on paper, when I scan it and work with it digitally when I do it, because I do a lot of editing on obviously with the computer, nothing's really raw.
Mm.
And like that week, the computer crashed when I was doing yours. I wanted to capture, I wanted it to look a little bit more sketchy, like the work that I'm doing on you, because it was like supposed to look like that. because I one of the classic when you're doing illustrations or cartoons, they always start off with the face and there's like a round face and then they mark up the axis points.
Yeah.
So I wanted that to be there, you know, and so I wanted to enhance that. And it was kind of, I was like, shit, how am I going to do this without a computer? But luckily, I have an app on my phone that still captured it because when you just sometimes if you scan something in, it doesn't come through. So you got to up the contrast or downtone the brightness or
Oh,
clean up the image. And if you look at the image raw scans, you'll see things like, oops, I spilled some alcohol on this page, or there's a burn mark, or the eraser didn't get it completely, or there's a smudge. And so you clean all that off, you know. And for that image in particular, which I remember when I was listening to it, I started laughing. I was like, you said my name. I go, I got to be in it somewhere, you know. But
oh,
since
okay.
it was all about illustration, I just had that classic. This is how you start off, and I wanted to start off making it look like it was raw and finished. And I was actually kind of happy. It turned out really, really cool.
Yeah, no, I
You know,
really liked it.
I mean,
I like that type of the black and white and then the color and just even the sense of you drawing a character on the page and you think about yourself as a human. You're like, who am I? And I like that kind of
yeah,
thing going on there.
and a lot of times you don't think it's going to turn out like that. In your head is one thing,
Hmm.
and then as you're coloring it, editing, I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to make sure the eraser's pink, and it's like out of the way. And it's maybe it's subconscious, but then you start looking at it and you're like, no, maybe let me stand this out because this way the eraser, it's even though it's an illustration, it's more like this is real, but the page is fake. So you kind of want to, just add a different, I guess, I don't know, style or something like that. Something, like I
Hmm.
said, something new to the table. You always, every episode's different, and you can't just like, I want to draw this one again. You know, I mean, so I guess it's kind of that's where it comes from. This, I might have lost the question. Sorry.
Have you ever struggled with perfection? How do you deal with that? Trying to get something as good as possible, but being okay with it in the end.
Well, I don't know. I don't think there's a such thing as perfection.
Hmm.
Because if there was, we'd all know what it was or what it would be. And who's to say what's perfect or not? It's just you want to get it as best as you can,
Yeah.
And when when I look at it, and if I look, stand back and I check it out, I'm like, oh, that came out pretty cool, and that's it, And you throw it out there, and you just like see if the world likes it,
Yeah.
so to
You,
speak. And if not, oh well, not for you, you know.
yeah. Did it take you a while to get to that where you were okay with people not liking it, or were you always okay with people not liking some
I
people
don't
not liking
care.
your drawing? Yeah.
I don't give a shit what people think,
Hmm.
in a sense. Like if in this modern age of what social media, everyone has an opinion, And what do they say about opinions and assholes? They've all got them. Doesn't mean I don't know how it goes, but there's something like that. And
Yeah.
you can't like if you hit someone. I mean, I haven't seen anything about it, but like any bad reviews. But I know people are out there and they get a bad review, and what they call haters and people who troll and like this is stupid or your video is dumb, and you see that and you're like, there's no point. If you
Yeah.
don't like it, find something else. You see people just want to bash constantly, and it's like they have. I mean, we all have an opinion. That's cool. Sometimes just keep it to yourself. Nobody cares. You know, if you don't like
Yeah.
the book, read another book. Or if you don't like the picture, look at another picture. But you want to spend all your energy um, disliking something and commenting on it. Your 2 bits. Maybe that's your life. Go for it. But I don't really care if someone likes my stuff or not. I mean, I'm glad they do, but you know, I don't. I do it for me most of the time. You know, and
Yeah.
it's satisfying. By the end of the day, I'm satisfied with it. Then that's a good day. You know, I think that should go for everybody, but I mean, not everybody thinks that way. That's my opinion. Again, and maybe it doesn't matter. So
I get it. Well, I think if you do something for a long time as well, even if you didn't start off like that, even if you started off believing in perfection and all these other things, I think reality kind of kicks it out of you if you're going to do it for the long term.
yeah,
You start having these realizations. Otherwise, you quit and you don't have these realizations. I don't think. But you can start off too, and you could always maybe had been in tune with this being true. I don't know.
yeah. Well, some people like that. The adulation of like, or look at me. That's cool. I know that's a lot of what social media is about. I mean, a lot of it's like I use Instagram a lot, and it goes to Facebook, and I do it just because like I like to show stuff. And like now that we have it, I'm like, oh, maybe someone will like it. And sometimes people like it, and it's kind of cool. I really like that. Uh, it's the feedback, and you're like, oh, that turned out pretty cool. I want to share it, and just want to share it for fun,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
I get it. Yeah, and you
But
never know who you're reaching. You might uplift somebody's spirits, and they might go, oh, well, why don't I do something
yeah,
artistic or something that might be embarrassed to do? That's
yeah, maybe that'd be cool. I mean, it's a nice little bonus if
mm,
someone likes something that cheers them up. I mean, especially with this world being so ugly, so many times it's just so ugly.
yeah,
You try to if you can put a smile on someone's face for something, then that's nice.
yeah,
Uh, but if it doesn't put a smile on your face, and I mean, if someone doesn't like it, I'm not gonna be upset that oh they didn't like my unicorn. You know,
yeah. No, it makes
go look
sense.
at another unicorn book. Yeah, I'm not gonna cry. You know.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Um, yeah, if anybody wanted to work with you, how would they? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Let's see. I'm on. I guess I think there's links on Facebook or something or my Instagram. And right now they can ask you apparently because that's
Yeah, they
what.
go through.
And
Unlike
it's
your
cool though. I
agent.
mean, yeah, you could be. I want to start cutting you in.
Yeah.
Start cutting you at 10%. What does that? You just make. I don't know. That's cool though. I mean, why not? You never know. It lands something big.
Mm-hmm.
Cut you in. On Instagram, I'm at uh, the professional illustrator one is the Uncle Davey Draws,
Mm-hmm.
and then I also have Lord Darth Baker, which has more personal stuff, but there's a lot of art. And I always tell people look at my page if you like my style.
Yeah.
And there's so many different styles I try to do. So I pride myself in I can do all kinds of stuff. From very something simple to something really graphic and dark or highly detailed. And a lot of it just depends on what I'm doing that day. What kind of music I listen to, it just influences it. And I tell people just check it out. If it's something you like, cool, contact me. If not, I don't know, man, I don't have a website or anything like that. It's just like basic, I guess, what do you call it? Word of mouth.
Yeah.
You know, well, maybe one day I'll get to a page where I have an agent and someone can handle all that crap for me. But I don't like the back end of the stuff. I just like to draw.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So, and it's working out, I guess. Hopefully.
No, it's working out. Yeah. No, that's good. Thanks, Davey. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us
Hey,
today.
man, appreciate it. I'm glad to be on your show. Now
Oh,
I don't know how I'm gonna draw this episode.
yeah, that's what I was gonna
Uh,
say. I'm looking forward to seeing how you draw this episode.
just gonna be a blank spot,
Yeah.
whatever. So, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. But I'll worry about it when it comes.
When it
Let me
comes, yeah.
finish the other one. I gotta finish the other episode up today. You know,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah, with no computer again. So that's gonna fun. That's a challenge, but why not?
Adaptability. That's what it's all about.
Adaptability, sir. Yeah, man. All right, Dennis.
All right,
Hey, man.
David.
Thanks
Thanks again,
again.
man.
I'll
Take care.
talk to you soon. You take care.
Bye.
All right.